A nation held hostage. Brazil's war on drugs. Brazil, a land of vibrant culture and breathtaking landscapes, bears the deep scars of an ongoing battle. Drug trafficking has seeped into the nation's veins, poisoning its cities and tearing apart its social fabric. With its sprawling favelas and porous borders, Brazil has become a key transit point in the global drug trade, fueling an epidemic of violence and corruption. From the favelas of Rio de Janeiro to the Amazon rainforest, armed conflicts rage, claiming thousands of lives each year. Drug gangs armed with military-grade weaponry clash with rival factions and the police, turning entire neighborhoods into war zones. The pervasiveness of firearms, coupled with endemic poverty and social inequality, creates a volatile mix that has pushed Brazil to the brink. Blood on the streets, Rio de Janeiro's urban warfare. Rio de Janeiro, the iconic city of sun, samba, and stunning vistas, has become synonymous with urban warfare. The city's sprawling favelas serve as battlegrounds in Brazil's war on drugs. Heavily armed drug gangs hold sway, controlling territory, extorting residents, and engaging in bloody turf wars. One of the most notorious incidents was the 2002 arrestão by the Comando Vermelho, Rio's largest drug gang. Gang members hijacked buses, set them ablaze, and brought traffic to a standstill, exposing the government's vulnerability. Another defining moment was the rise and fall of Fernandinho Beiramar, a ruthless drug lord who once controlled drug trafficking in much of Rio. Despite his capture in 2002, the struggle for control of Rio's drug trade continues unabated, with new gangs emerging and alliances shifting constantly. Cocaine, cannabis, and conflict, the fueling of violence. At the heart of Brazil's armed conflict lies a lucrative and illicit trade narcotics. Brazil, strategically positioned between cocaine-producing Andean nations and drug-consuming markets in Europe and North America, has become a crucial transit hub. Cocaine flows through Brazil in staggering quantities, smuggled from neighboring countries like Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia. Cannabis, too, plays a significant role, with domestically grown marijuana flooding the local market. This income stream provides gangs with the resources to purchase sophisticated weaponry and corrupt officials. The insatiable demand for narcotics in the developed world has had a devastating impact on Brazil. As long as the global appetite for drugs persists, Brazil will continue to be a major front in the war on drugs. From jungle labs to city ports, the flow of narcotics. Brazil's vast and diverse geography has become a double-edged sword in its battle against drug trafficking. The Amazon rainforest provides ideal cover for clandestine cocaine production labs and smuggling routes. Brazil's extensive coastline serves as a launchpad for international drug shipments. Cocaine often begins its journey in the jungles of neighboring Andean nations, processed into cocaine paste in clandestine labs. This paste is smuggled across Brazil's porous borders and transformed into pure cocaine hydrochloride, ready for distribution. Gangs utilize a sophisticated network of transportation methods to move their illicit cargo. Despite some successes in intercepting drug shipments, the vast majority of narcotics continue to flow through Brazil unabated. No discussion of Brazil's drug war would be complete without examining the rise and reign of the Comando Vermelho, or Red Command. Born in the country's brutal prisons during the military dictatorship, the Comando Vermelho has evolved into a sophisticated criminal enterprise. The seeds of the Comando Vermelho were sown in the 1970s within the notorious Ilha Grande prison. An alliance emerged between left-wing militants and hardened criminals, eventually giving birth to the Comando Vermelho. Upon their release, members brought their organizational skills and ideology to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. Over time, the Comando Vermelho's focus shifted from political activism to criminal enterprise, capitalizing on the lucrative cocaine trade. While the Comando Vermelho reigns supreme in Rio de Janeiro, another powerful gang, the Primeiro Comando da Capital, PCC, holds sway over São Paulo. Founded in 1993 within the state's notoriously overcrowded and violent prison system, the PCC has grown into a formidable criminal force. The PCC's origins lie in a horrific prison massacre at the Carandiru Penitentiary in São Paulo, where 111 inmates were killed by military police during a riot. The PCC emerged from the ashes of Carandiru, espousing a philosophy of unity among criminals and a thirst for vengeance against the state. The gang established a rigid hierarchy, a strict code of conduct, and a sophisticated communication network within the prison system. Today, the PCC is considered one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Brazil, controlling drug trafficking routes and earning vast profits. While the Comando Vermelho and the PCC dominate headlines, Brazil's criminal landscape is far more fragmented and complex. A myriad of smaller gangs, militias, and factions operate in the shadows, vying for control of territory, resources, and power. One such group is the Amigos dos Amigos, ADA, a powerful gang that emerged in Rio de Janeiro in the 1990s. Initially allied with the Comando Vermelho, the ADA eventually broke away, triggering a bloody turf war. Another significant player is the Terceiro Comando Puro, TCP, a gang that emerged in the 2000s. The TCP has been locked in a bitter struggle for control of drug trafficking routes with both the Comando Vermelho and the ADA. Beyond Rio and São Paulo, a complex web of criminal organizations operates throughout Brazil, engaging in a variety of illicit activities. Life under siege: the human cost of Brazil's drug war. The human toll of Brazil's drug war is immeasurable. Behind the staggering statistics lie countless stories of shattered lives and broken families. The constant threat of gunfire and the normalization of brutality have become an inescapable reality for millions of Brazilians. For residents of Rio de Janeiro's favelas, the daily commute to work or school can be perilous. Stray bullets claim the lives of innocent civilians, and the psychological scars of living in a war zone run deep. Children grow up witnessing unspeakable violence, their childhoods robbed by the constant threat of danger. The cycle of violence becomes tragically normalized as young people see few options outside the gang life that surrounds them. The thin blue line: police, corruption, and the struggle for control. In Brazil's ongoing war on drugs, the police force stands as a thin blue line between order and chaos. Tasked with combating heavily armed drug gangs, Brazilian police officers face an incredibly dangerous and complex challenge. However, the police force itself is not immune to the corrupting influence of the drug trade. The militarized nature of Brazil's police force has been a subject of intense debate and criticism. Critics argue that this approach has alienated communities and exacerbated the cycle of violence. Corruption within the police force undermines efforts to combat drug trafficking and erodes public confidence in the justice system. Despite the challenges, there are dedicated and courageous police officers who risk their lives every day to combat drug trafficking and protect their communities. A globalized conflict: connections and consequences. Brazil's armed conflict is inextricably linked to the global drug trade. The insatiable demand for narcotics in the developed world has fueled the growth of powerful drug gangs and exacerbated violence and corruption. The cocaine that flows through Brazil originates in the Andean region of South America. The weapons that arm Brazil's drug gangs often originate in the global arms trade. The international community has a responsibility to curb the illicit arms trade and prevent weapons from falling into the wrong hands. The consequences of Brazil's armed conflict extend far beyond its borders, contributing to addiction, violence, and crime in destination countries. Addressing this complex challenge requires a coordinated global response that targets both the supply of and demand for narcotics. A future uncertain: can Brazil break the cycle of violence? Brazil stands at a crossroads, facing a choice between continuing down a path of militarized repression or embracing a more holistic approach. The current strategy, heavily reliant on police raids and mass incarceration, has proven largely ineffective. Breaking the cycle of violence requires a paradigm shift towards a more comprehensive strategy. This involves investing in education, healthcare, and job creation in marginalized communities. Furthermore, tackling corruption within the police force and the judicial system is paramount. Implementing effective mechanisms for accountability and transparency is crucial to restoring faith in the justice system.